This is my paper critique of Bremer et al. 2014. So this paper is called Overview, the Design, Adoption, and Analysis of a Visual Document Mining Tool for Investigative Journalists. And Overview is this program you could use if you're a journalist, let's say, and you have to go through thousands of papers relating to some case. You can't just sit there and go one by one, or probably what you did back in the day with a giant team. But now you can have programs that will take them and sort them by like terms to make it easier to find the papers that you're actually interested in looking for. And this program they worked on over a few years through different iterations and used case studies to help improve this program to make it more effective. So this program was based off of a previous program called Warlogs, and it was used to measure the similarity between documents. And what it did is it made these sort of clusters of similar documents, and it showed you those keywords in those documents. But this program, it wasn't like interactive. You can't just click here and see what paper these are. It really just showed you what are the similarities between your documents. But it was the similar algorithms used in Warlogs that was used to make Overview. So in this paper, they showed us a couple versions of Overview and how they improved upon them. So this was an earlier version of Overview. And what they did is they did have this cluster similar to what Warlogs had. And then they turned that into a tree where you can see the individual papers based on different keywords or topics. So if you're interested in like the oil industry, you could click that and then you could see, all right, what papers do I have here relating to the oil industry? And it'd give you a little document list down here, and then you can click through them, and then here you could view the documents that you wanted to see. So to improve upon this program, they did a few different case studies, and doing them they realized there were a couple different kinds of users that would be using this program. One is someone who is given thousands of papers and they don't really know all of the content within those papers, but they need to explore them further and use that to generate some kind of hypothesis. So one example they gave was a journalist who was writing about, I think there was a shooting, and they wanted to know about gun owners and non-gun owners and their opinions on gun ownership. So they used this program to sort through those comments and see what are the common themes between the two groups. And another case study they did is they were looking at journalists who they already have a hypothesis on some kind of topic. Maybe they're more like a lawyer and they're trying to, verify this hypothesis, or they're trying to refute it and find more evidence to support it maybe. So these journalists, they already know going in what they're looking for, but they're trying to locate and find specific topics. And this program makes it a lot easier to do so. And one example they had was a journalist who got an anonymous tip about government mismanagement. And so they had to go through 6,000 email messages to try and find the evidence that they were looking for. And this helped sort that and make that search a little bit easier. So this ended up with version 4 of Overview after they had done these case studies and seen who are our users and what do we need to improve. One thing they really tried to do was just simplify it based on what we had before. There was a lot going on. Now it's really just focusing on that tree structure. You can see the different keywords within the sections of the trees. You can see your document list over here, and then they had these tags that you could use. So as you're sorting through the papers and you realize, oh, this is a paper I want to keep, don't keep, whatever tags you want to make, you can add to them. So you can easily come back to these papers later. They just wanted to simplify it and get straight to the point. So for my critique, I wanted to talk about some of the pros and the cons. So some of the pros of this program, they, especially with their, case studies and improving the program, they really did try to learn from these user experiences. They spent a lot of time, over a period of years thinking about, what could be done to make it better? How can we make this fit for all different types of uses? So they tried to simplify it and make it easier to learn how to use when you're first coming in. And another issue they had noticed is that when journalists, come in, they might not all be the most tech savvy, and originally the program had only accepted like one or two file types, but the journalist is going to get 20, 30 different file types. So they improved the program by allowing it to accept a bunch of different file types just to try and make it easier to use and more user friendly, and so you can just get in there quicker. Some of the cons of this program, I do think even though the simplifying can help, it is limiting the amount of information you're able to get from it. Like they got rid of like this cluster, which, they noticed some people didn't use it, but other people, maybe they really want to know like what, like really easily see, what are the key topics here. They're losing that ability now. Another thing I noticed is that like the tree itself, I find it difficult to understand how exactly they made that tree. I know it's based off of algorithms that have been used again and again in previous studies. I just think it's hard if you're not familiar with that. How did they come about this? And is the way that this tree is made something that you actually need, or is it making it harder to look for certain information? Another thing I saw is that the only way I could see that you can interact with these documents is through these tags, which could be good, but maybe if you wanted to write longer comments or other things, you couldn't do that. And another thing I noticed is that this program hasn't been continually updated. I believe in the past few years they closed down the website that you could use to access this program, and you can't, like now it seems pretty difficult to get access to this program and download it and use it. And yeah, they haven't made newer versions of it. So while I'm sure it was good when it was new, I'm not sure if it's something that people can still easily use anymore, unfortunately. And that was my paper critique. Let me know if you have any questions.